Hey guys, welcome back. This is the fourth installment of the UDK series for basic introductions, and this one will be about the matinee sequence system in UDK. Now, I bet you're wondering, what is the matinee sequence? And well, the matinee sequence is basically a tool in UDK that allows you to animate objects. For example, if you want to animate a door opening, you can do it in UDK, opposed to first rigging it in 3ds Max, making the animation, rendering out the animation, importing the animation as an animation set, then linking up to the mesh. It's a lot of work to do it that way compared to using the matinee sequence in UDK. Now, this sequence in UDK is a very powerful tool, and as a designer, you need to know how to use it. So, first, let me show you how to actually use objects in a matinee sequence. So, as you can see here, this here is a skeletal mesh. If I right-click this here, you'll see skeletal mesh active properties. Now, a skeletal mesh can't be animated in a matinee sequence. It needs to be a intent actor. And to turn it into an intent actor, what we're first going to do is going to click Find in Content Browser. So if I open up my Content Browser now, as you can see, it's found the mesh. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to right click, go to Convert, and Convert to Move. Okay, we convert to Move. As you can see here now, this has changed from green to purple. If I just close this, you'll sort of see. Over here we have a static mesh here. Over here we have an intent actor here. You can sort of see the difference. That allows you to, when you're looking in wireframe mode, to tell what's what. Okay, so now we have our static mesh. We want to animate this so it goes up, and then you can get on this platform up here. Now, it sounds hard, but it's really not. So what we're going to do is make sure we have the mesh selected. We're going to go to Kismet, which is the K tool up here. We're going to right click on New Matinee. Now basically this is how you make matinee sequences. Everything you do will be stored in this node here. I'll explain what nodes are and all the unique functions of nodes, like you've got all these here. I'll explain them in the Kismet tutorial, which will probably be the next installment. So be patient for that, guys. After that, I'll be going into matinee, lighting, and Kismet in much more detail, which would be the advanced version of this guide. This is just for basic information of how to use things in UDK. So take everything I tell you guys and go test it out yourselves and get comfortable with the systems before looking at the advanced tutorials, okay? Cool. Okay, so we're going to open the matinee sequence here. Hold on. There we go. Okay, this is what the matinee sequence looks like. First things first, you notice you have a timeline here. This is how you judge how long the animation is going to be. You can edit the time by dragging this marker down here. So if you want it to be 1 second, you just line it up to 1 second. If you want it to be 10 seconds, you line it up to 10 seconds. For us, we're going to do a 4-second animation. This green line here, basically, you can actually move this to sort of select where you want it to loop. So for example, if I have it at let's say 2 seconds, if I click this looping button up here, you'll see that it'll only go to 2 seconds and it'll loop over. This allows you to test anything with looping animations. Now, do keep in mind, if you want to make a looping animation, make sure this is dragged to the end of your animation. So for example, if you want your animation to be 2 seconds, make sure this is dragged 2 seconds. Else you'll have it going past 2 seconds and continuing on to wherever the marker ends, and you won't have that looped animation. Okay, so let's pump that back up to 4. There we go. Now we have our mesh selected here, which is intent actor. Oops. Which is an intent actor, as you can see here, intent actor properties. Now the first thing we'll do is we're going to go into our Unreal Matinee. We're going to right click and we'll click Add Empty Group. As you can see, there's a few of these. Today I'm going to be introducing you to Empty Group, Camera Group, and Director Group. So I'm going to try and fly through this as much as possible because there's a lot to cover. It may be two videos of it, I do apologize. Okay, so empty groups. So what you want to do, first you want to name it properly. You make sure you name everything properly. Use the proper naming conventions, guys, because it is very important in the industry. Okay, so we're going to call this Platform 1. Okay, now we have our Platform 1 here. We're going to right click again on Platform 1. As you can see, we got more options this time. We're going to scroll down to Movement Tracks and click on this. Now this, obviously, as the name suggests, it allows you to move the object. I do apologize if I'm talking a bit fast, guys. I know it's a bad habit of mine. I'm trying to fix it, but if I am talking too fast, let me know. Okay, so we have a movement track now. What this allows us to do is basically plot animations in. This is your starting point here. This is your starting node. So no matter where, it'll always start on this point here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to drag to the timeline to 4 seconds. No, actually no, we'll do 2 seconds first. Click enter, which spawns a second node. And then in the actual game, you want to drag, oops, click back on the node, and you want to absolutely drag it up to the point you want it. As you can see, it creates this sort of yellow line. This is your movement track. Now basically what it's telling you is from this point here to this point here, it's going to move up to here. Now if I make another point, and let's say I move it over here, you can sort of see it has this here. This here is, you can click on this, which will then signify what point you want to go to. These are very big blobs on the movement track. I don't know if you can see them well here, but if you click on them, it'll revert to that point in the movement track. If I, for example, if I delete this now, you'll watch what happens to the movement track. Can you see? It just goes on, it veers on the side rather than opposed to going up and across. So add nodes in where you need to add them. So let's just drag this out for 4 seconds. If you click Central and then with your left mouse click on it and drag it, you can position it properly. This allows you to actually adjust like the speed of something, for example. So for example, if this is on 2 seconds, if I put this on where the looping is, you can sort of see how fast that goes. Now, if I move this to 4 seconds, you can sort of see it goes a lot slower. Okay, cool. Let's just reposition this back to normal as well. So we're going to drag that to there. Cool. Okay, so we have our animation now. So that's basically done. That's going to be our animation going up. Okay, nice easy animation. Cool. We're going to close that down. As you can see now, we have Intep Actor 1 and Matinee Data. Matinee Data is that line I just showed you guys. That's the movement track. This here signifies what object is being affected by this Matinee node. And in this case, it's Intep Actor 1, which is this. So, what we're going to do now is we need a way to trigger this animation. So, if I right click in game, I'll go to Actor, Add Trigger. I'll explain triggers and nodes in much more detail in the Kismet video, which is going to be the 5th video, I think, of the series, maybe 6th. I'll explain that in more detail, but for now we're just going to go over the very basics. So we're going to add a trigger in here, and anything, basically a trigger can be used in multiple ways. So if I right click here and go to new event using trigger 2, we can sort of see what events these triggers can do. So touch, destroy, take damage, hit walls, such and such. For us, we're going to use the use trigger. So when it's used, it'll do something. And we're going to link that up to play. So as you can see, click, play. Cool. We're going to click on the trigger and turn off interact, aim to interact. This basically means if you're in that green box, I don't know if you guys can see that well, and you press E, it will use the trigger, therefore play the matinee. If you have aim to interact on, you need to be looking at the trigger to use it, if that helps. So basically, aim to interact is used for when using control panels or anything like that. To interact normally is when you want to do it when you can't see or there's nothing to interact with. If that makes sense. So if our trigger used here, you can edit the trigger size and volume by going at trigger. So you double click it first, then go to trigger, and you got collision height and collision radius here. You can just edit these to like ridiculous amounts, as you can see. So we're just gonna leave it at 40 for now. Okay, so let's get rid of that. Okay, so we also need one up here as well, so you can get back down. So we're gonna make another trigger. We're gonna quickly import that in as a used. Take interact off. We're gonna line that back up. I'm gonna link it right at the top. About there should do it, I think. One little tip for you guys as well. You can also go in here and you can click looping as well. Just to make sure if you're on a looping animation, click on your matinee sequence and go into looping and turn that on. For our case, we're not going to do that because obviously we don't want it looping. So, we have our triggers. Make sure they're both linked up. The one to get back down, we're going to link to reverse. So basically it plays the animation in reverse. So therefore, if it's at the top, it'll come down. That makes sense. So what we're going to do now is we've got our matinee sequence hooked up. We're going to click play. I do apologise if my controls are a bit iffy. I've been testing keybinds lately, so I do apologise if this takes me a little time to actually get on the platform. First things first. I forgot to do something with the platform. Give me 2 seconds. I'll explain this in more detail later down the line, but what I'm going to quickly do right now is add some very basic collision onto my mesh, so we can actually stand on it. There we go. Collision is attached. I'll explain, like I said, I'll explain collision in a bit more detail down the line because it is something you guys need to know. Okay, cool. So let's get on this platform, shall we? Hold on, did I save that? You have to save your meshes every time you use them, guys, else the collision won't actually work. Oh, wait, yeah. Okay, no way. So when you have objects that you turn into Intep actors, the collision will disappear off them. And to fix that, you need to double click on the mesh, go to collision, click on collision this, and click block all. That will fix the collision. Sorry, I didn't tell you guys that. I forgot myself. So if we go in now, and go to this object here, you should not be able. There we go. We can't walk through it, so let's jump on it. Now if I press E, there we go. As you can see, it lifts us up. Cool. If we press E again, it takes us down. That's because we have our two triggers now. So yeah, cool. As you can see, I'm pressing E and it's not working again. The reason for that is because if I open up Kismet again, and if I click on these triggers, if I got touch types, sequence events, max trigger count 1. Change this to 0. And the second one to 0 as well. And that means you can use the trigger as many times as you want. If you want the person to only use the trigger once, you turn it to 1. If you want them to use it twice, you turn it to 2. It's very basic. I mean, I'll just quickly show you guys again. There we go. Let's jump on. E. So the general the general input key is E for when using triggers. You can keybind it differently, though. I'll show you once again how to do that later on. So as you can see now, we're pressing E and it's working all the time. Cool. Now, this also applies to other meshes as well. So for example, you can move it using the move tool. That's cool. So what about opening doors? So once again, we have to do the same thing. Find it in content browser, convert to mover. Let's quickly reopen this. Since you guys know the basics now, I can sort of skip through this a bit more. So matinee sequence, we're going to click on this. We have our matinee, new group, new empty group, door 1. Make sure you use proper naming conventions because other people in your team will complain if you don't. It's very messy work not to. So let's make it 2 seconds. Let's get rid of this. I want to click on the mesh. Just make sure you have your track selected or want edit it. Click on your mesh. Click spacebar and now you can rotate it. Assuming the pivot point's in the correct place, you can rotate it properly. As you can see, the pivot point on this mesh is at the bottom left of the corner. So that allows us to actually animate it properly. So we're going to turn 90 degrees as you would with the door. And then we're just going to quickly test that. Easy peasy, right? So quickly once again, double click. Change the collision to block all. And what we're going to use this time is we're going to use a different trigger. We're going to use the touch trigger. Just going to quickly show you how that works as well. So we're not going to need 2 triggers this time. We're going to need 1. And the way that works is we're just going to put this trigger here. Go back into Kismet. There's our matinee sequence we just did. We're going to event touch trigger. And when it's touched, we're going to play the animation. Cool, right? Cool. We could also put in not touch to make it reverse, which closes the door, but you know, there's no real reason for me to show you that, guys. So for example, if we walk over here now, the door should open as we go near it. There we go. Cool. Okay, that's 2 ways Matinee can be used to make basically interact with the player. You can also do other things with Matinee as well. Now for this one, we're going to set up a camera. What time are we on, by the way? 30 minutes. Okay, we're doing well. Okay, so this one basically I'm going to show you how to actually use a camera to Matinee to change the camera position. So when we go into the game right now, the camera's in first person. You can only see in first person, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our content browser. We're going to click on actor classes, camera actor, right click, and we're going to add camera actor. Now, we have our camera actor in the game. It's nice and cool. What we're going to do now is you want to click on the eagle high here, and then click on your camera. It allows you to basically take position of the camera. As you can see, okay? Now what we're going to do is we want to position this to where we want it. So, for example, we want it about here. Now if we click off this, oops, that didn't work. Strange. Whoops. Sorry guys, my clicking is a bit off today. There we go. Now it should be, there we go. Okay, now I can move around. So say for example we want like a nice close-up of a character. Maybe about here or something. We then click off the eye. As you can see, it's now positioned the camera in the point where we want it. That's cool. We're going to open up Kismet. We're going to go into we're going to make a new matinee sequence for this again. And we're going to place that there. We're going to right click on the matinee sequence. We're going to right click. And we're going to go to camera group. And this is going to be called camera 1. Okay, that's all we need to do. So camera 1's already in there, positioned for 5 seconds. And then we're going to go into director group, import this in. We're going to click on the director role here. And then we're going to pick camera 1. So basically, how this works is director 1, at this entire time will use camera 1. You can make more cameras. So for example, say I wanted it to change. if I quickly add another camera into this level, camera actor, and then position this one as well. So for example, say you want to switch shots midway, you can do that. So see you want to maybe from the back view, and then we click off the eye again. Then we want to make another camera roll for this, camera 2. Nope. 2. Easy peasy. Just making sure we did select camera 1. Yes, we did. Okay. I do apologize, that was my mistake there. We're going to right click. Sorry, we're not going to right click. We're going to go to director group. We're going to scroll down. So say we maybe want the second camera about 2 seconds up here. Yeah? We're going to click here, and we're going to click on the drag down, camera 2. Click. As you can see, camera 1, camera 2. So as you can see, it sort of changes. Cool. Now you can also add a, if I remember right how to do this, so you right click, you can go down here to fade. Now you can make fade track, so if you wanted to sort of maybe fade out here and here, you will add 2 points in your fade track. Oops, misclicked. Hold on, let me just get this in position. There we go. Okay, so we have our fades in. Oh, I have made a few by accident, it seems. Okay, so maybe we'll add it towards the end instead. Make life easier for us. So we're going to have a fade here. As you can see, it's sort of made a little adjustment up here. Now, I'm going to quickly explain this, but I will go over this in more detail. If you drag this up to 1, as you can see, it adjusts the fade. Very simple stuff. So let's just double click on this again. We need to make this a bit bigger so I can actually see what I'm doing. Where did it go? There it is. So just gonna, if you make it 1, it's basically completely dark. So simple stuff. Now what happens here basically, it means is from this point here it'll switch and it'll fade out. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna now add a touch trigger in again. So let me just add that. I get you guys obviously are getting the idea of how they're used now. They're very they sound very simple, but they can be very complex at the same time. So we're gonna make a trigger here. I'm gonna make this visible as well, so I know I'm standing on, and not looking like a complete or not a buffoon looking around for the trigger. So you can actually turn things invisible by using the display. If you click hidden, it turns it hidden. If you unclick hidden, it turns it visible. Okay, so we have a trigger. We're going to use the touch trigger to trigger this matinee sequence. As you can see, since we have 2 cameras now, we have 2 variables here. Just a little note for you guys. So we're going to add in the trigger to be a touch. When touched, it will play this. But let's give our character a little bit more vavoomph. So for this one, I believe, yeah, it's this one here. I'm just going to drag this over. If you Ctrl Alt and then drag, you can make a box in Kismet, which allows you to select a lot more things in one go. So we could drag that down here. This is an animation set. I'll explain this, guys, in a much more detailed video because they are a nightmare to set up. So just drag that there, put that there. Now, hopefully this should work. Okay, so we should be able to see our trigger. Yep, we can. So if we touch this, it should switch to the camera view. There we go. And there you go. Simple enough. So as you can see, you can use that to sort of play sequences. He's floating in midair over there. We can play sequences with the camera. So if you want it to trigger, so he does a nice little nifty animation, you can do that, and all that kind of stuff. Now, there's one more variant as well you can do, and that's animating a camera itself. So once again, we're going to add a quick camera. This will be the last thing I'll show you guys in this video, and then I'll show you some examples of what I've done with Kismet. I mean, Matinee, not Kismet. Kismet's the next video. Okay, so we're going to add another camera actor in here, sorry. Where is it? Actor. I'm being completely blind now, aren't I? Why can't I add a camera actor? Let's just drag and drop. There we go. Make life easier. Okay, so once again, do the eye thing. We're going to position this to where we want it. It's not done it again. It's being a nightmare. There we go. So maybe we want it like here, okay? And we want to zoom in on the guy. So we're going to click off the camera. There we go. We're going to go into our matinee sequence again. Then we're going to make it... Oop, wrong one. We're going to go into our Kismet. Where the Kismet may be. There it is. We have another matinee sequence here. I'm going to click it. Once again, we're going to make camera 3. Once again. Wait, am I doing it wrong one? There we go. Camera 3. Thought I selected empty track by accident. Okay, so once again you have the movement track here. What you can do with movement is if I click on here and then say I want to move it down to about here, you can do that. You can honestly do that. Just drag it across. Obviously you want to position it properly. What you can do is you can use the same method we did with this, where you click on this and then you can sort of position it to where you want it. So I want it maybe here. So let's just make sure that's keyed in. Click off the camera. Just make sure that worked. Yep, there you go. Nice and nice. You can sort of see the motion track again there. 2 seconds is quite fast, so we're just going to make that about 5 seconds apparently. There we go. We have a nice sort of pan in now. And yeah, so we're going to need to add another director group to make sure it switches onto this this camera. Camera 3. Oops, that was a bit firing. There we go. Camera 3. Cool. Now what we're going to need to do as well. What the hell's that camera? We're going to need another trigger. So let's just open this again. We're also going to get an animation over here as well and drag that in. Just hook up to this trigger because why not, right? If you can add an animation, make it look pretty. Okay, so let's just put the trigger. Actually, you know what we can do? We can just copy this trigger. It'll make a copy of the trigger with the same properties but a different name, so you can actually rig it as well. So let's call this trigger. Actually, where's my Kismet gone first? Is this one? Yay! Right click, use trigger, touch, link this up, play, and what we're gonna do is add like maybe a 2-second delay on this. So basically, this will trigger first, and 2 seconds later, this one will trigger. It just allows us to see the animation playing at least. Okay, so if I go into play here, now if we walk over to this here, effectively, there we go. And in 2 seconds, there you go. You can start seeing playing. That's that. So that's the 4 basic types of Kismet sequences you can use. There is much more, and I will go into detail this in the advanced systems. You've got like particle effects you can toggle on and off and all this kinds of fun stuff. So I'll explain that in a much more detailed video, but right now what I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to show you something I've done, I've done for university, and you can sort of see how complex it can get. So if I go in here, we're not going to save that level. That's just a test level. We're going to open up UDK Kismet, and we're just going to matinee sequences. Zoom out. Find them. There they are. So I've done this in about a day. It took me about 4 hours maybe. So you can sort of see what matinee sequences are and what kind of nodes they have. But if I just quickly play for this level, you'll be able to see what's done. This is very, very basic. Do keep this in mind, guys. This was something for university work. Nothing is complete here. So as you can see, the characters don't have any animations or anything. But you can sort of see what matinee has been used for. See if you can point out what sequences I've used and how I've used matinee. Tell me in the comments. Whoever gets them all correctly wins a cookie. So as you can see here, we got jump here, blah. Another matinee sequence here. Now you can have matinee sequences like this as well, where you got stuff spinning. It's a nice little touch. You got matinee sequences where you can trigger animations like this. Ignore the skinning and everything. Like I said, it's a prototype level. Yeah, character does an animation. You can do them kinds of matinee sequences. You can do matinee sequences that causes threats or hazards in the game like these. These are great matinee sequences. If you're touched by them, you're knocked off the edge. You have matinee sequences. Ignore these. That's all Kismet. But you have matinee sequences that allow you to stop players from going in certain areas unless they do something. Obviously, you'll have matinee sequences that end the game as well. So that's what you can do with matinee. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section below. Yeah, other than that, guys, it's been a good video. I'm happy I told you about this. I will be doing the next video on Kismet, the very, very basics of Kismet, because my Kismet knowledge isn't amazingly strong. But I will teach you what I know. And then we'll sort of delve into more misc things like how to make a 2.5D camera, how to make push and pull mechanics and other stuff like that. Okay, cool. Glad you guys had fun. Me too. This is me signing out. Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot. Bye.